So, hello, welcome to Chatting Shit, and it is with me, not Matthew Brewer, but Jan Solo 19. And you may be wondering what's going on here. Well, Matthew has decided that he's too tired to do very much at the moment because he's decided to fly halfway around the world. So he's very kindly asked me to take over for this episode. And so here we are. We're talking about Glacial Cup Glacier. I actually thought it was just going to be something unimaginative like Iceberg Cup. But hopefully the picks that we have today are a bit more interesting or imaginative than that. So, as you may be used to, it's probably something much more meta-oriented with some of the other episodes. And perhaps you've got to this one and thought to yourself, I'm a bit bored of all that really, well-performing stuff, which is just kind of everybody's going to run. I want something a bit different, a bit more, dare I say, hot and spicy. So we decided it'd be quite fun to do something a bit more out of the ordinary with this episode. And so we've decided to call this one Chatting Spice. And so I've got a bit of a spicy history to a certain degree, but I feel that these gentlemen with me today probably have a much better record than I. So I'd very much like to welcome aboard with me on this episode. Thank you very much, guys, for being with me. North's favourite son and spicier than a hotshot Parmo, Jay Gunn, the Gun Show. Of course, we have our dear friend, Mr. Tyranitar himself, Matt Corden, and a newcomer to Chatting Shit, as far as I'm aware, and a darling face, I might say. Welcome aboard, Deanosky, my arch rival at the moment, and just my pain in my ass, but good to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Jan.
Right, so, what do we think about this cup so far? Just before we kind of dip into things, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, it was early days, and there's no sims on PV Poke, so we've had to go raw trainer ability to delve into some of these sims. I'm liking the looks of it. I like a good type cup. I know exactly where I am. I know I can pick one of each type and then fill in a gap. So I like this. It's easy to build.
Yeah, it's a much easier team build than a whitelist with pick this, pick this, pick this, pick this. I think it's got the variation to be fun all month rather than 2-3 weeks in and a bit still.
I agree as well. I think like with the different types as well, it's not going to be the same ones you're going to see in every single tournament. It's going to be a bit more variety. For instance, like you've got poison type in it, but I can't really see right at this moment in time Nidoqueens, for instance, being like the meta in poison type. So I think it'd be a bit more variety in for instance, poison, because it's good to see more different in those sort of areas in that sense. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree, to be honest. I mean, whitelist ones that we've had with Brawler can be very touch and go. And I think somewhere, I'm pretty sure Silph said at one point that the first half of the season was supposed to be these simple metas that everyone was going to love. And then Brawler comes out and I'm kind of like, is it though? But yeah, I'm actually quite excited by the type combinations for Glacier. And yeah, like you say, I don't think there's any one type that's necessarily going to be particularly dominant. I think it seems fairly well balanced from the outlook, especially with all those bans that we've got to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it should be fun. Fingers crossed. The
only thing that looks a little bit out of place is Dragon.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Like from a thematic point of view, yeah, I wouldn't have never put Dragon in there as a kind of Glacier. I'm just going to think, well, I guess Kyurem, but from the games. But I mean, no Great League Kyurem at the moment. So yeah, it feels a bit odd, but maybe it's a balancing thing.
I think as well with ice involved, you're going to be brave to run a Dragon because there's going to be ice running everywhere.
Well, there's also going to be Hypno, and Hypno needs some answers. And I think there's one Dragon that does that very well, but that's another story.
Bloody Hypno, the curved nose git. Yeah. Let's get it out of the way. You might have seen this in another episode, depending on when these come out. But Hypno's there. If people can run Hypno, people are going to run Hypno, right? That's just the end of the day. Like, there's no way around it.
There's going to be
looking at you, Callum.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So I know which Dragon we're thinking of, and I think it's brave as well. But I am also excited the fact that Ice seems like it could be a dominant type in this, which is rare, right? So
they've removed purposely a lot of counter users, which is nice to see for a cup. There's a sneaky one in there that I found, but I'll keep that one to myself. But no, just the fact its counter's gone for a bit might be nice to give something some time to shine.
Yeah, Mark, does the counter user know Fire Punch?
I can't say. This is my secret. I'm not telling you.
Okay, here we go.
Anyway, so yeah, there's lots of things going on. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's gone, shall we say, under the surface. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What we're touching on today with some of the lovely,
great like cheese.
Oh yeah, make it rain. So you know, we will dive into it very shortly. So I wanted to, because obviously this is I want this to be a spicy episode, and it's going to be. Trust me, guys, it is. I just thought you guys would like to kind of give an indication of, you know, your level of spice lord. What's the spiciest thing that you've done in Silph or used in Silph to some success?
Shall I kick that off then?
Yeah, go on then.
There's only one Pokemon for it. The king of all spice, Tyranitar. So I first burst into the seams with a chatting shit episode with yourself, Jan, and obviously Matt. And Tyranitar was my man. Well, that particular Vortex tournament, I went on to 4-0. A tournament, absolutely crushed everybody with Tyranitar. There's a guy maybe in this chat that can attest to Tyranitar's fearsome force. Yeah, so, you know, I'm well renowned for, if I can use him, I will. And he has actually proven his worth. So I'd like to think that, you know, he's got a spice score of 100 at least.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good way to kick us off. Gentlemen, who else would like to chip in?
I can go, yeah. So my third ever tournament was in Forest, and I used Ninjask in a 4-0 win. I just basically used it just because I thought it would be a great counter to all the grass types there, and I actually, the final match I won to win the tournament was against Electivire and shadowballed it, but with 2 shields in that sense. So I was very fortunate to win. That tournament, like, very dominant matchup, and got that out. I used it throughout the whole of that month, and yeah, didn't get success after that, but still, I really enjoy using Ninjask in that meta in that sense.
That heavy meta stalwart of PvP Ninjask. Excellent. Go on, Jamie. Tell us.
Everyone knows I like to try and use as spicy one as possible, even if it doesn't work. I say I am no Ginger Ninja, but I like a bit of spice now and again. Probably more now than again. So probably my spiciest eventful tournament was back in Rose Cup. It's the only tournament I've actually managed to win/tie, and I ran Scrafty, Aerodactyl, Machamp, Scoliped, Gliscor, and Clefable.
That's insane.
Aerodactyl, I like that. That is serious.
That is ridiculous.
Double counter, double flyer.
Yeah, I like it.
Fairy. I can't remember the meta from the top of my head, but Scoliped wasn't meta, and I don't think Aerodactyl was very meta.
That's like pre-poison jab buff as well to Scolipede.
Yeah,
that's mad.
Yeah, like I say, I like to use off-meta mons as much as I can. Like Garbodor, I like Garbodor.
I think I actually really like Garbodor, and was trying to push for its usage in, I think, Marsh. There was things like it could be a sleeper with Seed Bomb and Body Slam. It didn't actually work out as well, but we don't talk about that.
No, you've got to try them. If you don't try, you don't know.
No, so exactly.
I also like your Pikachu Libre that you kicked my arse with once. That was fun.
Yeah, but I like to power things up like nobody else is going to power up. I know Dan has since powered these up, but that's because we lucky traded ours together, and we just said we'll both power them up. And then we just use them all the time. Like, I've powered up a Lombra for no other reason, and I think it's quite cool.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not having fun with it, then what's the point, right? That's the whole reason, and that's like why we're doing this episode. We want to find things that are going to be a bit fun. You know, they're still going to be quite useful, but they can be quite useful in the right hands. But it's just about, you know, bringing a bit of something that sparks joy, right?
Yeah, as a wise man once said.
As a wise man
does
once
it spark
said.
the joy?
Does it spark joy? So I'm just going to quickly jump in with why am I spicy? I don't know if I don't think I'm as spicy as that, but I brought Wob to venture. With one of the XL Wob users, and I think probably spicier than that. Like last month in Luna, I won a tournament using Pawniard, XL Pawniard, which was pretty good fun.
We had a chat about that. I was really jealous.
So good. Definitely build one. It's brilliant. Use it in Halloween afterwards with Chandelure.
Yeah, I remember the Chandelure. Thanks, Jan. Yeah.
but Talonflame 2.0, gotta love it. Anyway, right, we've had enough of a preamble. We've chatted shit. So thanks for watching the episode. I'm kidding. So I think we're going to go. I think in reverse spice order today. So we're going to go with the spiciest pick of us four, which is also quite good because I know that the certain individual is super enthusiastic about this. So please take it away.
Well, let's kick things off. The spiciest pick I think we're definitely going to see all month. Pokedex number 376, Metagross. Not only normal, like no normals, Shadow Metagross. If you're going to spend all your Stardust, make sure you do it properly. So, as a quick outlook, last night when it dropped for ourselves, I was having a quick chat with my factions team, and we quickly established Steel is going to be quite a good type in here. You've got, you know, your dragons, you've got your ice, you've got your poisons. So what resists all of those? Steel types. Yeah, there might allegedly be better steel types in this tournament. I can't think of any except from Shadow Metagross. He is, quick little fact, he has got the highest base stat of any pseudo-legendary. He also shares it with Salamence. So there you go, his stats are off the chart. Why Metagross then? So let's give you a bit of a rundown. You're going to need his Community Day move, Meteor Mash. I don't see how you can run it without. The second charge move is a little bit up to you, Psychic or Earthquake. Gives you a little bit of variance for what you can hit. Most of the time, a Shadow Meteor Mash is enough. There's no stronger move in the game, I don't think. His stats are through the roof. Meteor Mash is broken. It is an absolute damaging move. As a sort of flip, not to try and undersell Metagross, because he is ranked down in the 160th in this cup. He has got a similar-ish counterpart, is pre-evolution of Metang. Now, Metang has a little bit of a different play style, because obviously he doesn't have access to one of the best moves in the game. So just in one shield, a quick run off for what Metagross will pick up. He's going to be your A-Bomb, your Frostglass, Galarian Rapidash, which could potentially have a good pick, is spammy and a bit new. You'll be Celio, Dugong. You can't actually beat Snowy Cast Form. You die.
What?
Yeah, you've got to have a one bullet punch lead to beat the Snowy Cast Form. Hypno, right, but this is all going to depend on whatever it's going to throw at you. You don't know if it's going to be the Fire Punch, Shadow Ball, who the hell knows what this month. There's viability for all of his moves. You also beat Pelipper, Pillar Swine, And a nice one that I thought, so I've just mentioned how important steel is going to be, I think, with no counter users here, and a lot of nice resistances for steel. He beats Bronzong, and that is both Payback version and Bulldoze version. So that is a sneaky little mon. Steel to beat the other steel. He can actually tank either one of those moves, and he finishes it.
Even the shadow variant.
Yeah, only just.
What?
It's tight, and though that sim was based on my personal IV'd one. I'm not going to tell you on those.
What? I've just had a quick look at it myself. You do it going straight Meteor Mash.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah, so like he is the steel type to beat the steel type that I think might be quite popular. So he's not one to be slept on, really, by any means. What do you think to that then? So far, part one.
I just want to say this is exactly what I was looking for. So just for our viewers here who may not go and have a look at the actual sims, for the Bronzong matchup, Meteor Mash, bearing in mind that this is a resisted move, does 43% to Bronzong.
So you're the Bronzong user, you're probably not going to shield because you think, oh yeah, I'll take this, and he can just go straight Meteor Mash, keep pumping him out, and yeah, he's going to finish it.
That's actually terrifying.
Yeah.
Wow. Has I've actually come across a Shadow Metagross in GBL before. Has anyone else ever had the pleasure of facing one?
Unfortunately,
in Ultra, but never in Great.
Let me tell you that Meteor Mash is disgusting.
Yeah.
It is not fun to be hit by.
I have used Shadow Metagross, obviously, several times, and in many builds, just in GBL, just for a bit of fun, because, like I say, you land that Meteor Mash, it is hurting, whatever you're up against. Just to sort of counter him, if you have a look at some of his losses, you're losing to things like B-Drill. Obviously, with that drill run, he can just get there a lot quicker than you. You lose the Dragalge, Golbat, Nidoqueen, Dragonair, Carcosta, if you're looking for some sneaky little rock damage. So this is where the scales are weighing up, because if you have a look at Metang as a other potential, he actually picks up all those losses. So Metang can beat the Beedrill, he can beat Snowy Castform, he beats Dragonair, the Carcosta, Dragalge, Golbat, Nidoqueen. That's mainly because of the Psyshock that Metang carries, so he can just get those more damaging charge moves off. But then you've got to sacrifice what Metagross picks up. So as Metagross picks up Lapras, Metang loses to Lapras, it loses to Frostglass, it loses to Bronzong, it loses to Dugong, Pelipper, Piloswine. So you have a little bit of a difference in coverage just because of the speed of Metang's charge moves, and obviously it hasn't got access to the mother of all nukes, which is why I think with Metagross, like a lot of my picks seem to be when I come on, he needs shields, and you're going to take shields. Like, after this video goes out and everybody realizes he's the best mon in this cup, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Shadow Metagross everywhere, everybody will be shielding, and then you can have something come in and sweep the back of a team.
Would you be spicy enough to run them both together?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Now there's a thought.
It's only two of your 4 slots. And if you're saying they dovetail together quite nicely, would it not be a case of running them both together and then your third one as a cover.
I actually really like that idea now, Jamie. I was thinking about it as a joke, but that's actually pretty good. Having looked at that counter, I've got it on paper. Like they both literally balance each other out in wins and losses. So yeah, that's not a bad shout.
The only thing you've got to worry about is if the Hypno is running Fire Punch.
Yeah.
Because it's one of them months you will see Hypno.
Oh, everywhere.
I suppose the question is though, if you bait the Hypno out, is it going to have enough about it to be able to muscle through two of them? I suppose essentially, because it can counter both, and not to bring this to a Hypno discussion, but there's also the problem that you can have in that trying to get one mon to do too many jobs, right? I'm all for anything that makes Hypno's life more difficult. To be perfectly honest, that also kind of like cuts off. I was about to ask, well, what would you pair it with then?
Metang and Metagross. Why not? Now, I was looking at potential sort of picks. I was looking down the lists here ongoing that are all over my desk. It looks like a madman's drawing. I do quite like you say the Hypno's going to be a problem. Something's got to shut Hypno down, and early thoughts, the dragon that maybe is probably one of the best is Swilus, because again, if you've got Swilus, who's like you switch an ice in on him, I've got two steel types now that are gonna just run through you. So that makes a nice pairing for him, and yeah, I think Metang and Metagross is the way forward. They could cover everything. There's no need. If Metagross can't kill you with Meteor Mash, then Metang's going to finish the job.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Dean, what do you feel?
I think Metagross just sounds absolutely incredible. I mean, you sold me, man. You sold me.
That's it.
I mean,
you heard it here first.
Well, I know you say like Fire Punch is a worry from Hypno, but how much does like a Thunder Punch do in that sense? Just because you say we know it's not going to be that tanky, the Metagross, but like I'm guessing like a Thunder Punch is still going to do quite a fair bit in that sense anyway.
I did not look at that immediately. One moment. Unless Jan beats me to that one.
No, I've just as for the audience, why I'm kind of looking a bit shocked is that the GBL Season 10 move update has just dropped, and I'm just checking that out at the moment. This is kind of insider. You're probably going to see this before, but for the benefit of the gentleman here, Noctowl is getting Shadow Ball.
Oh.
So I think that's the big. Oh, and Octillery's getting Lock On. So super fast Octazookas from that one. Wait for it to be meta. There's some other pretty cool stuff there, but that's the big.
When is that happening?
Next Monday at 9 p.m.
That might make Octillery really viable here.
Oh, that's true.
Because Octillery knows an ice move. I believe it knows Ice Beam.
So,
hang on.
We're back up here. Hang on. Let's. So a Thunder Punch only does 36 damage to a Metagross and to the Shadow, and the Fire Punch does 58. So it can take both. It can actually be the Fire Punch variant. Hypno can't get to a Shadow Ball in time for it to be beaten, so it doesn't matter what punch you come up against. Metagross has got you back.
Is that even with the Shadow variant?
Yeah, that's just Shadow variant. I don't see if you go for the normal, you lack that absolutely devastating power. I'm not a fan. If you can run the Shadow, the trade-off in the like odd HP here or there that it'll take, I feel like it's far outweighed by if you catch the move, if you land the move, it's going to hurt far more. So. Yeah, the normal, okay, you might be able to take one or two more punches. You might be able to beat the Snowy Cast Form. But if the Snowy Cast Form doesn't shield or there's no shields left in the game, that's like a one-hit KO pretty much.
Yeah. And again, you're looking at the rest of your team, not just one mon. So
Yeah.
as long as you've got the losses covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a type, because it'd probably be like the water types that would be the most devastating to it. But then obviously you've got the other slots in your team to counteract that. So.
Yeah, surprisingly, the Shadow Metagross, when I was looking at the sims, it doesn't do that well against any of the dragons and none of the waters. I was looking at things like Melodic, for example, Gyarados, things like that. They can't compete. Things like Celio that can't quite put out as much damage as a water. Mainly, you're obviously going to use him for his ice and body slam spam. They can beat things like that because the body slam is coming in neutral, so or resisted into it, I think. So it can take things like that on, but pure waters, your Melodic, rainy cast forms, that type of thing. No. That's for the rest of your team to cover that.
Well, to be honest, I definitely want to test this out now, to be honest.
I mean, straight after this, I think I'm just going to go in my phone and just double check if I've got one. Or viable.
Wow.
I've got one in every league possible. I spent a lot on Beldam Day.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the problem is I don't have a Shadow because for Gym Draft, I had to trade my 6th pick, which was Metagross. I had to trade one in with Meaty Mash.
Oh, no.
Oh. Sorry, Jamie.
That's savage, especially after the event as well, like with my tangs being around. Oh. Well, I suppose you'll be hoping that it's actually not as good as we've made it seem.
I feel like it's a better pick than like Lucario from that guy last month.
Who was he again? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Or the Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Speaking a load of nonsense, really. So, has anyone got any other thoughts on Metagross, Batang, that duo that is just apparently going to just tear open the meta by the sounds of things?
I think that sounds scary.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing how you pilot it.
Oh, you wait. It's going to be there. I can't say it on this channel and not run it. Like,
It's fair. Yeah. Like, say, look.
I have always said that if you're a feature, you must run them on your tune.
Absolutely. You got to ride or die with it. That's it.
Yes, I agree completely. Although I haven't been as good at that as others, so anyway, I ran Victini this month, whatever. Right, okay. So Metagross, Metang, deadly. Watch out. You heard it here first. Shall we move on then?
Yes, let's move on.
Okay, so I believe that when we were having a little game before about who had the spiciest, it was actually fairly close on this one, but I believe Dean takes the biscuit on this one. So would you like to introduce your pick for this month?
Certainly, yes. So my pick for this for next month is Pokédex entry 461 Weavile. Now, as we already discussed at the beginning of this video, most of the counter users are not in the cup, as well as Gardevoir, which means that the charms and majority of the counters that you probably would see are not there, and that is basically Weavile's basically just dream in that sense. They can actually just be there and not die in 2 quick moves in that sense. So now looking at the meta, so I've been trying to predict what is going to be prevalent, as well as what we've discussed already. But I think like Bronzong, Jirachi going to be very common since they both resist the ice, the poison, the dragon types, and delivering the big damage to the poison types with the confusions. With Weavile though, we resist to confusions, and with the moveset of Snarl is the fast move, Foul Play and Avalanche, it can actually outpace both of those mons, including Jirachi with Doom Desire. It outpaces it straight in the one shield. With the other big hitters, I'm also trying to predict what else would be around. So I'm thinking like Alolan Sandslash, Empoleon, Celio, and Bomber. But unfortunately, with that moveset of Snarl, Foul Play and Avalanche, it actually doesn't beat them. It is very close. It's literally just a sliver of health with all of those mons, but it sadly just doesn't match up to them. So I was like thinking about an even spicier lineup and using it as a closer, where using the moveset Ice Shard, Foul Play, and Focus Blast. So basically I'm thinking like with the shields down, get to the Focus Blast and literally just take out all of these ice and steel types that would be in the back, or like trying to take them out. Didn't really want to take away the ice coverage just in case there are dragons, because basically Ice Shard with 4 Dragonite, 4 as wireless is very deadly as it is. It doesn't really need the Avalanche if it's got Ice Shard. No. But yeah, if having that sort of that moveset, sorry, it also still beats both Bronzong and Jirachi, even though you've got the Ice Shard being slower charging than Snarl. It still catches up in the one shield and still beats Jirachi in that sense. No, I'm not saying that Weavile should definitely not be it shouldn't be the main mon in your team in that sense, because with Snarl, for instance, it loses as wireless. And Dragonite in that sense, and also other poison types such as Skuntank and Drapion will give it plenty of problems. But for a spicy pick, I think it's going to be like a very viable option in that sense going forward. So Matt, I know you said that there was a counter user that you saw. Yeah. Was it Haxorus or was there another one that you saw?
Ooh, no, I was looking at Alakazam.
Of course.
The secret's out.
Oh, God, no.
Just getting all the picks. So bonuses. Put the pictures up, Matthew. Put them up everywhere.
What else do you want to know? I'll tell you everything.
So in that case, there's only 2 counter users then in the meta then, because I saw Haxorus and I thought, okay, that might be an issue. I can't really see many people, because few people I've seen use Fracture in Great League, not really Haxorus.
It's expensive as well, isn't it? For how rare a Pokemon it is, it's not going to be down here unless you're a full-on crazy spice man.
I'm fairly sure you need to trade it to get it below.
Yeah, from the hatch ones, yeah. And unless like someone that I know has been very lucky and managed to get like a 300 CP Axu in the wild. Not mentioning it. I'm not meant. It's just.
What about like when you're level 50 and you can get the research? Is that lower than the egg hatch?
Yeah, because that'd be 15 actually, won't it?
Yeah.
I probably traded that one when I got that.
Ooh, mistakes were made.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly check mine now.
Yeah. Have I got one left?
Yeah. But that's going to be made of glass anyway. So I mean, a glass cannon versus a glass cannon. I actually don't want to think about how much the counter would do there, to be honest.
Well, this is the good thing though, because obviously Weavile, depending on which way you have it, I imagine will hurt both. If you've got it geared up Ice Shard way, if it does come across the Haxorus, it's going to do the damage. And if you go Snarl for the Alakazam, you're going to outpace the Alakazam. And obviously you're doing that dark damage, and Alakazam's made of paper as well. So, Battle of the Glass.
Pretty much it's just going to be like 2-second matches, basically, when we in that sense.
Hit your screen record and stop.
Yeah.
What? So each Snarl in the Alakazam match does 9 damage. That's ridiculous. But by comparison, do you want to know how much each counter does from Zam?
Yeah.
21.
4 or 5?
6 on average. 6. doesn't even get to a charge move.
Like, I really like Weavile as a Pokemon. I just think it's too glassy. But if they say there's no counters here, this could be its place.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how prevalent Alakazam will be in that sense, because there's no Charmers in it, and that's pretty much the only one I could see will be widely used compared to Haxorus in that sense. So.
Seeing as we're doing a bonus episode for everybody anyway, just if you're thinking of being a charm degenerate, there's always Gallade.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know why you do it. It's dumb.
No.
It's just dumb. And as someone pointed out from my faction, there's always Beartic.
That person is a smart guy.
I looked at that once. I was like, yes. I can't remember what it was, but there wasn't much charm around, and I'm like, Beartic, yeah, I'm going to have a bit of that.
There we go.
Powered one up, waste of Stardust. Back to Weavile.
Anyway.
Can you imagine landing that Focus Blast on like on a Lapras? What's that going to do? I bet that's going to...
Right, so that's going to absolutely annihilate it, just disintegrate it, surely. Focus Blast, not Shadow, which we'll get to. Yeah, Focus Blast does... if you land it, it does 109%.
So, when you say you're using it as a closer, can you, like, Lapras v Focus Blast? That's a game one right there.
Yeah, you were not switching that Lapras, and you were not switching anything. And if you think you've got energy, you were not switching anything in. If you try and catch a move, and it's a Focus Blast, that's instant regret.
Foul Play still does 40%. That's just mental.
No, it hits hard. It's just classy.
It's just, yeah.
It is a good sound.
But if it's so glassy anyway, right? And there's where I come in. If it's so glassy anyway, it's just going to take a ton of damage whatever happens. Why have you given much thought to potentially going Shadow just for that extra little boost? Because I wonder how I'm wondering if it's like, you know, it's paper thin anyway. What's thinner than, I guess, wet paper, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when I did suggest Weavile for this video, I did look through my collection, and I've only actually got a Shadow Weavile available, so pretty much that will probably be the one I'm going to use in that sense.
Well, they're ranked pretty closely together, to be honest. Like Rewile in the preliminary rankings, let's be fair, because, you know, PvP will tweak these slightly with perhaps different moveset changes and things like that. But, you know, regular one's 114, and the Shadow one's only 125. And, you know, when we're looking at these numbers, it's not that far apart, really.
No.
So I wonder, because again, I'm just going to use the Lapras matchup as a benchmark. If you go Shadow instead, those foul plays go up to 47%.
Whoa, that's some serious damage right there.
And that's bonkers.
And obviously, you're resisting the ice shards coming at you from Lapras, and you're going to be outpacing it.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Well, they'll get to the surf, but those surfs do. Okay, don't let the surf land. Just don't let it land. Don't let it land.
So all I'm gathering is you're going to need to invest a shield, as with Matt's pick.
Yeah, probably. Hang on a minute. I'm just let me just run it. Just. So yeah, like, oh my, yeah, definitely. You're going to need shields. So perhaps you don't run Weavile with Metagross and Metang.
Probably not the best idea.
No, but to illustrate just that little extra, it's overkill completely. But if you use the Shadow Weavile, and this is just using average IVs against that Lapras, that Focus Blast does 131%.
Killed it into game 2.
You can't bring 3 in the next game. You have to bring 2.
That should be a rule. That definitely should.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Weavile, to be honest. It's just one of those things that I feel like it's been hard done by with some of the metas that have been around, just generally speaking, because I think it has a lot of potential. The moveset is great. And also fantastic shiny. Let's be real, right? And shinies do more damage. So good. Maybe this going to be like most of the big picks that are going to be ice, water. A lot of the big waters in this meta are all using ice moves like Ice Shard, Dugong as well, for example. Powder Snow from Celio. the big ice, the big bad, big bomber snow is again powder snow, right? So there's going to be movement for you to get to those moves and put a lot of pressure on, right? So yeah, mate, I think this could actually be somewhere where you put it in a closer position, like you say, you can actually sneak quite a lot of wins because people are just not going to know how to deal with it potentially.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. With like, people would probably use like the heavy hitters of the Bronzongs and the Jirachis at the lead anyway. And then if you can try and maneuver your way, say for instance, have them two pairing together, or even go around it, so then you've got like the ice type at the back, so then you can still do the focus blast at the end of that sense. So you're pretty much covered for the main bulk of the method that I can try and foresee in that sense. It's mainly like the pure waters, like maybe the Milotics, and even some of those poison types I mentioned, like Drapion and Stuntank, that way it maybe need to have covers for them, which is what I would see, like trying to build a team around to see if I can try and get those mons out the way in that sense.
So what's a couple of picks that you plan on putting it with? Because you're going to need to have something that can absorb a bit of damage beforehand.
Yeah, probably something like probably like a Hypno.
Someone shine the boots.
Deanosky was kicked out of the chat.
I know. Right? It's just unfortunate. Like this man that we've got right now is like, there's not really many big bulky mons there, really, is there? It's like the ones I can think off the top of my head would be like the Hypnos in that sense, and maybe like the Celio as well, stuff like that. But it's not really. It does seem very lightweighted with all of the bands out there. It's like quite a lot of not the bulkiest meta that we've seen so far.
Yeah, that is what I like about it. Like you say, there isn't much bulk here, so this is a time for the cannons of glass to cause some damage.
Oh no!
But you have got to worry, I think, and this is going to probably be some bit of the team building. The bulkier mons are the water types here, so like those Laprases, the Milotics, even like cast form to rainy cast form, obviously, to an extent. They can absorb a bit of damage and still put down damage. So this is your team building is going to have to cover that. So your glass cannons can absolutely run wild in the end.
I think it's just as a kind of a comment about, I think a lot of the bulk, I mean, there are some bulky picks there, but then you back yourself into a corner by sharing a lot of weaknesses. And I think a lot of the bulk is going to be coming from, those steel type resistances or throwing debuff moves around, right? Which is just going to, I think, potentially a much more fast-paced meta, because obviously if you're debuffing things all the time, people are going to want to keep switching in and out to get rid of them, right? So that could create actually some interesting holes for something that's very energy dependent, creating momentum such as Weavile, right? If the thing's switching in and out all the time, not being able to maintain any amount of energy for any one point of time, then that could provide the opening that it needs just to kind of like land a big nuke and really really make someone cry.
Yeah. You can see a lot of the games this month being really, really quick. Just off a quick glance, a lot of games are going to be really quick.
Completely agree. Yeah, there's these big picks, like a Bomber Snow again. Coming back to a Bomber Snow, just so much like the fast move pressure from it is pretty big, just because of its attack weighting, and those weather balls obviously being really annoying. It's Vilus and oppressive Dragon Breath. Just yeah. If you don't get things matched up correctly, then it's over very, very quickly, which I think is going to be a bit of a nice change actually from some of the more bulkier ones that we've run before. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm a fan. Has anyone any more comments or thoughts? Or
I think without actually being able to run a proper sim, it's really difficult to say. But I do actually like the sound of the Focus Blast, just because I like a big hitter.
Just true. I like that. I mean, also, how many people actually expect the mons that can run Focus Blast to run Focus Blast?
No, because it's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So this is it. I ran Focus Blast on Hypno for 1 cup last month, last season. I can't remember which it was. And that caught people out. I think wherever Aloe and Muck was running, it was like that triangle towards the end.
Was
Might have been Commander.
Commander, yeah.
Yeah, and I ran Focus Blast and I loved it. Landing that on an Aloe and Muck was so satisfying.
I think you beat me in Mansfield.
I think I did, yeah. So Focus Blast catches people. Like when you said Weavile, I forgot all about that it even had Focus Blast. So I'm in a match, you've overfarmed. I'm just thinking, oh yeah, I can tank like the avalanche or the foul play that you'd expect to see, and then dead. Focus Blast comes out of nowhere. That little pink dot just.
And I know it's a lot of energy to get there, but for Weavile, it's very quick to get to a lot of energy. I mean, it's only 6 snarls and it's only 8. Is it 8? One sec. 8 ice shards to get to a Focus Blast. So it's not that long until you get to a Focus Blast for Weavile compared to other ones that are in the same position in that sense. Yeah.
Pretty manageable, really, to be honest. And then just this would be that great feeling after the game where you could do GGs to your opponent, and then you can just drop and say, oh, by the way, that was like 236 damage. Just
you can't use that mon next game. I don't make the rules.
GG's well played. Yeah, cool. Again, I'm really looking forward. Like you've backed yourself into a corner now, so you say it here. You got to run it somewhere. So I'm looking forward again to seeing how you pilot that one. So, right, okay, gun show. I believe you're up.
It is my time. Okay, so my one is the Water Rock Legend, Pokédex number 689, Barbaracle.
Nice.
Oh yes.
Just off looking last night, and it was a quick look. And then I looked this morning. I really like it. It's got some big wins, some hard L's. But there's 4 or 5 ways you can run this, much like Drapion. So for myself, I'm probably going to go with a fast move of Fury Cutter. Although you can go Mud Shot or Water Gun. I think I prefer the Fury Cutter.
Yeah, there's not much for the water gun aspect of him, I can't imagine.
No, you don't pick up as many wins with water gun, just off looking. But when it comes to charge move, you've got 4 or 5 options for charge moves. So you've got the Stone Edge, which I think is a must. Then you've got Grass Knot, Skull Bash, Cross Chop. All really good moves.
Yeah, I really like that pick because I had a bit of a dabble, wet my feet with that one towards the end of last season, and it was a bit new on the scene. Nobody really knew what he did, and like you just reeled off there, I forgot that he even got water gun. So there's a magnitude of moves that he can run, different combinations for what you need to cover.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise he got Skull Bash.
Yeah, it's Skull Bash. Well, for me personally, I'm probably going to go Fury Cutter, Stone Edge, and Cross Chop. But this, depending on how the meta shapes, it could change to Grass Knot, or it could change to Skull Bash. Probably won't, but it could. The chance, the choice is there.
Especially with having that Fury Cutter energy generation as well.
Yeah.
The flexibility and viability there is crazy.
So for the big wins I was talking about, if you run it with Fury Cutter, Stone Edge, and Cross Chop, you're going to win. You're going to beat a Abomasnow, Zweilous, Alolan Slash, Celio, Mew, Lugia, Drapion, Malmar, Frostlass, Beedrill, Golbat, to name a few. Some of the top meta picks that will be in the top of the meta, it beats them in the one field.
I'm genuinely speechless.
That combo of Fury Cutter and Cross Chop though is because against most of what you've just like reeled off, you've got that fighting damage, which is going to be key, I think, here in a lot of matchups, especially with all a Bomber Snow's going to be everywhere. Come on, let's face it. You've got to have something to stop him in his tracks.
Yeah. With the moveset I'm suggesting, you're going to need to cover Alolan Chew, Jirachi, Victory Bell, Gallade, Shite Knight, Flygon, Seismitoad.
Shite Knight.
Oh, Shadow Dragonite.
What Pokemon's that one? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, another moment of demonetized Brewer.
No one cares.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's a really solid pick this month.
Well, like you say, the coverage that it can offer to your team, it can fit in quite nicely, and it's not too squishy.
No, the results in the ones are basically the same as the zeros. So when I looked at it in the ones, it was the same wins as the zeros, and it can take a hit. I mean, it's not gonna like Polytoad or anything like that. But if you change your move to Grass Knot, then it likes it. It likes the.
I think I would be more tempted to run Grass Knot on him rather than the Stone Edge.
You need the Stone Edge to beat Frostlass.
Or is that?
I can see the Frostlass being big.
Unless you've got Shadow Metagross.
I mean, I suppose that's a really good point though. In terms of like we've talked to a fair bit actually about the crooked nose bastard, but Frost is another one of those mons that if you make it available in a meta, people will run it. Whether it's the right choice or not. So I think that's a really good point about having that Stone Edge there to beat Frost, because we've all experienced what Frost can do with a couple of Powder Snows. Advantage at any one point in time. We all hate it, or being on the other end of it anyway.
It does lose to Hypno, but it's simultaneous KO with Shadow Hypno.
Okay.
If you run a Shadow, it's a simultaneous KO.
How close does it get with the regular one?
Top of my head, not sure, but I don't think it's extremely close.
All right.
There is a couple of extremely close matchups where you think, okay, they're not going to switch in now because you've got the 1 or 2 Fury Cutter advantage, and that will be big in most matchups. Yeah,
well, that's the thing that I really like about a mon like that, is that if you get it in quick enough and they don't react quick enough, it's just how it completely flips. Like it's like it's a similar thing I think, but actually going back to Frostlass and talking about Drapion as well. It's like if Drapion gets in on a switch. And gets a couple of poison stings. If they don't get there, especially with the Shadow, if a Frostlass user doesn't get their Frostlass in within that one poison sting, they lose that match going straight crunch, which is just stupid, right? And it just strikes me that Barbaracle's a similar thing. Like if they don't react quick enough, then you're just going to get so far ahead that you can just do whatever you want to whoever's coming in, right?
Yeah, I mean it absolutely destroys XL Onomite.
I mean, that was the big sleeper pick, definitely.
Just saying, just in case there's any Welsh people there that might want to win
it. Not to put too fine a point on it.
I was just looking at Barbaracle now, and I didn't actually realise that you Mud Slap as a fast move.
Mud Slap. It's not Mud Bomb. It's Mud Slap.
Yeah. So that could be like something if you just want it as your steal counter. I mean, you could just do that and just farm them down.
I'm fairly certain with Mud Slap it beats Dragalge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Dragalge as well.
That's pretty. I mean, I think Dragalge. Like everyone loves Dragalge at the moment. I mean, I love Dragalge at the moment. So it's a very versatile, spammy mon with that dragon tail and whatnot. But that's pretty awesome. I think the thing that again, it's like it's very similar to Drapion, but I think it's almost like kind of like what Drapion used to be before it became popular in terms of like,
Yeah.
we all know how flexible Drapion is now, and we all know exactly what moves it can run, right? And so, but I think Barbaracle's just in that point where it's like, I forgot it could run Skull Bash. Like it seems to have like a very kind of similar energy generation, but like you know it's going to have a lot of moves. I don't really remember what those moves are, and it could be any one of a number of them, which is going to make me cry.
It's good because if you switch in your water type, you fear in the Grass Knot. If you switch in maybe your Drapion, you're going to be scared of the Cross Chop. You're going to be scared of the Stone Edge. You don't know, depending on how the meta develops, you don't know which move you're going to run with it, and it can change depending on your team build as well.
Yeah,
that's a good thing, because as the meta evolves, if you do later tournaments, it can adapt to what you need later down the line.
Yeah.
He's not a one-trick pony.
Yeah, from like a team building perspective, it almost feels like a really safe pick. Is like, no matter what happens, I can use this throughout the month, and I can change it around. But like, I already know it's synergy with everything else, like, and I can just keep going with it, right? Which I kind of like, having that kind of almost like familiar, safe pick in that sense. So okay, in that case, what would that? I've asked this for everybody else. What teammates would you put it with then?
Well, because I'm quite spicy, probably XL Nid Arena. Because
Man after my own heart.
Why not? Other than that, I have not overly looked into the meta that much. I've seen this pick, I liked it. I'd probably build my team around it. But what I'll try and do is try and cover its losses. So I know it's going to lose to Chew and Jirachi, Victory Bell, Gallade. I'm going to pick something that's going to beat them. Something that's going to be Hypno, because Hypno is going to be about... It's just about building your team. For me, it's going to be about building my team to cover all of its losses. Because I want it to be the focal point of my team.
Yeah. I suppose also the nice thing over the course of a match as well is that, you can actually look at it as being something that is you might not grab the shields in the first game, but if you bring it again, then it's going to get those shields, and then you can obviously pair it with something that's going to like shield down. Weavile. Maybe.
I'm gonna run it with a Metagross.
Oh, there we go.
Matt told me.
I feel like we've already like come up with like 4 picks that kind of actually work together in a really bizarre way.
That's it.
Just like team building 101.
There's no need for Matt to do it this month. We've done it for him.
Easy. I really like that pick. A big fan. I mean, it's got great typing as well, let's be fair. Rock Water in an ice meta is pretty excellent.
The only thing you've got to be careful though, because he does have a weakness to water, doesn't I believe? I got caught out with that one when I was trialing him. Let's say that one was a little sneaky shock that I found out a bit too late. But other than that, he's fantastic. I like the versatility that he can offer to you all month.
Yeah, because you're not going to use it as your water counter, so as long as you've got a water counter, you're fine.
Yeah.
Got 1 or 2 different options that you can put with it, then you put it in a good position. Because if you put it in the back as a closer with 0 shields, it does quite well.
And as you said, the Grass Knot, they got to fear that. Any water type that comes in to try and counter it, they have to fear that. They can't just like go in, you throw a move and go, oh, it's going to be cross chop, because it could easily be a Grass Knot with the Fury Cutter fast generation in that sense.
If Frostlass doesn't make it big this month, you don't generally need the Stone Edge. You can go Grass Knot cross chop.
That's going to annoy a lot of the core meta as well, or at least the initial look at it, as we can see it at the moment.
I think for me, the fact that it beats a Omastar, Zweilous, Celio, who I think are going to be huge. I think 4 out of 5 teams are going to have them. Mew is a bit, but
I think Mew is one of those ones that you have to build around. I think it's not something. I don't think it's as drop in and play as it has been in previous metas here personally.
Yeah. And because it beats Malma as well. Who knows a fighting move? It could be big because people will want that fighting damage, especially with Lapras, Icy Cast form, something that a fighting move is going to give you good coverage against.
And also isn't going to debuff yourself.
Yeah.
Which is always a big deal, right? So, no, I think again, it's a great pick. Has lots of flexibility. Has some big wins there, like you say, and has the ability to be able to move through the meta or how it might shape out through the month. I think it's actually, I think being ranked at 110 preliminarily is probably a bit of a disservice there, to be honest. So,
I thought as well. I thought it's a good mon. I didn't understand why it was so high, and I thought it might be the spiciest episode. Pick this episode. Was I wrong?
Sorry.
Hold my beer.
What was that? What did you say? Also, I mean, has anyone else got any comments, questions, thoughts, fears? I'm scared. I'm scared of what's coming. I'm scared of all of this. This is a nightmare. Anything?
I've just got one question.
Okay.
Are we actually dreaming just in Jay's mind at the minute?
I think we've just taken over. Yeah, this is actually his version of a wet dream.
Get some Kleenex ready when he watches this.
Ooh. Jay. Anyway. Right. Okay. Let's move into the final portion with my pick, which is the decidedly least spicy of them. Mine is actually inside the top 100 of the preliminary rankings. I felt like, okay, I love a bit of spice, but if people are just dipping their toes in, let's give them something a bit more unusual.
A bit starter spice.
Bit of starter spice, yeah. You've gone in and you think, oh, maybe I'll have a seafood starter or something like that. Nothing too bad, right? Yeah. Okay. So, my particular pick for Glacial Cup is Pokedex number 139. It is Lord Helix himself. It is Omastar. And then we're going to go with his ultimate form, in my opinion, and he's going to go Shadow.
Yes.
This thing, I think, has been a sleeper pick in PvP for the longest time. I've faced a few in Kanto Cup, and actually just in GBL in general. I'm pretty sure I've actually come across one in Ultra League at one point as well, which is pretty bizarre.
That was great.
But it probably was, to be fair. But I think this thing has all the tools for this particular meta. Particularly, I think, in one of the things, I guess similar to Barbaracle in many ways, in that it's a water rock type that is beating some of the biggest waters and grasses in the meta. And a lot of other big picks as well, which I think people are going to love. And just hits incredibly hard. It's not as dynamic, perhaps, as Barbaracle because it has a much more limited move pool. And to really get the most out of it, you're going to need to spend an elite TM. There's no way to get a Shadow with the legacy move that needs. So it's running the moves Mud Shot, which we know is a fantastic fast move, particularly in an energy heavy meta, which I think this is going to be. And it gets Rock Blast as its bait. I say bait, it still hits pretty hard coming from a Shadow, getting stab bonus as well. And then you've got your closer as Rock Slide. And Rock Slide is we know is a great move, a good amount of energy. You get in there fast with the mud shots. But you can also do just a lot of your work, just going straight Rock Blast in a lot of these scenarios. So I've looked at it as a very quick look at the meta using kind of like the average IVs, because most people probably running a Shadow at Omastar are probably going to have average IVs and whatnot. And so just looking at the meta as it is, you're beating a Bomber Snow, both variants, Shadow and normal. You're beating Bronzong, both variants as well. Taking out Sandslash, you're beating the Shadow Celio. You don't get Jirachi, unfortunately, but can't win everything. Dugong's another one. Beedrill. You're running it very close with Empoleon, which I think could also be a pretty big pick here. Taking out Shadow Lapras, obviously. Drapion Shadow, Beedrill, another big one. Gyarados, which I think some people are sleeping on as well. I think that could be a pretty big one here. There's a lot of potential there, I think. Just going to pick out some other ones which I think are pretty cool. Gets your snowy cast form.
Yeah.
Got to nail that one. What else have we got here? You're a Alolan Grimer. It's winning there as well. I know I'm a big Alolan Grimer fan, but it was like sometimes you've just got to lose. Unfortunately, you do lose the Shadow Hypno, and you get just a straight Dragon Tail spam by things like Lugia. But you're picking up things like the Shadow Dragonite is bigger here as well. Shadow Golbat is always a good one to pick up in these type of metas. If anything's got grass, then yeah, you definitely lose.
Yeah.
There is no way that you come out of that smelling of roses.
Is the Victory Bell matchup as bad as it is with Barbaracle?
So the Shadow Victory Bell, the battle rating is 62.
Oh, so yeah, it's where. I thought Barbaracle was bad. It was 71.
Oh, yeah, this is straight garbage. Other big things. You actually lose to XL Chinchou. Don't know if we'll see any of those this month.
That's an expensive one, really.
Who knows?
Yeah, got it right now, Jay.
We're looking at you, Jay. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here that's Mantine is a good one. You actually Seviper as well. I thought that said Superior from it. I was like, hang on, that doesn't make any sense for a number of reasons. Alolan Muck does beat Nidorina, I'm afraid. But yeah, it's got a lot of really great wins there from the core meta and ones. It stays relatively the same in zeros, much similar to kind of Barbaracle. And actually, most of those matchups do actually stay the same if you go to rank 1 IVs against the actual kind of like average IV of Omastar. So it's very consistent. So that's why I like it. Again, in a meta which is going to be dominated by a good chunk of those top 7 picks, right? As a lot of Silph is nowadays. It's like, it's a top 6 on PV Poke, okay.
That's what I like. That so far, we haven't had this PV Poke, so it's like we've got to get creative.
Yes, and I think these are all pretty great picks. To be honest, of course I do, because I think almost Lord Helix, the greatest pick. But no, yeah, I think Shadow Mudshots. We always talk about Mudshot not being a good damaging move, but I'm pretty sure all of us here have probably used a Shadow Swampert before, right? And that extra little bit of Shadow bonus does make that Mudshot become a farmable move in certain situations. And then we already know Shadows with a big energy lead can be a nightmare, right?
I'm curious though here, Jan, right?
All right.
So you've gone Rock Blast, Rock Slide. I'm pretty sure, right, if Rock Blast is going to do the damage on the Shadow, why not go for the Hydro Pump? Because I bet it'll close a Hypno. Okay,
so let's have a look right now.
Funny I should ask.
So let's have a look at Omastar with... Or you could just be like an absolute degenerate and run Ancient Power.
Yeah.
Shadow Omastar with an Ancient Power boost. Right, so let's run Omastar with Hydro Pump Rock Blast and see what the differences are. So your life against the Bomber Snow becomes much more difficult. You pick up Jirachi, which could be quite interesting. Become much closer with Beedrill. You pick up Empoleon, but lose Lapras. Because you need it, because it does outboard slightly, I think, there. The Hypno is what we were really interested in, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, Hydro Pump gets you Hypno. I think both variants. I'm just going to double check that. Also picks up Skuntank. And Lugia.
There you go. You're welcome.
And Quagsire. And Nidoqueen.
Since everyone's now got like a Shadow Lugia to run, so that could be a good shout.
That's true. Yeah, you could just go all in. You do lose Venomoth, if anyone's going to run Venomoth. And you pick up Metang.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I think what we've really highlighted. So they do share quite a lot of wins, and there are some that flip the other way. So actually, I think what we've really discovered here is something that does two different roles, depending on what you want to answer. So you've got, I think, with the Hydro Pump is always just a massive closing thing, right? Because even with the Mudshot, it does take a while to get there. So maybe it's the type of thing that we've got here where, well, I'm going to argue anyway, that actually with, I think maybe the Rock Slide, Rock Blast, okay, you're limiting yourself to what you're hitting, but most things in the meta, aside from the steals, not going to really want to take rock damage, and even some of the steals still lose anyway. But if you really want to come in and just wreak havoc towards endgame, Shadow Boosted, Stab, Hydro Pump.
That's coming at you.
That could be pretty nasty.
Am I right in thinking it's got Bubble Beam?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. I think that's the Omanyte, yeah. So, I mean, I did look at Omanyte, and I was very tempted.
I have been swayed a couple of times a day.
Someone was running it in.
I have one with Brine.
Oh,
Omanyte.
Well, that's another legacy move, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's oh wow, okay. I'm just loading up the Shadow Omanyte because I'm now curious as to how it performs by comparison. Rock Blast and Brine we're going to go with here. Same with Shot as well. Okay. Oh, it's not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Probably just stick with Omastar.
Yeah.
The one thing I will take from this is we have both chose water rock types, but we are both venturing away from water moves.
Yes, this is true. I think water. I think we've all, in any meta, water has always been a great defensive typing, right? And that I think that's very much the same here. I mean, rock can be a bit of a liability, but it does mean that you get the ice resist against things like Abomasnow and Celio and stuff like that. But I think there's so much in the meta that's resisting water in one way or another, because being water itself or having a grass subtyping, or if you're a dragon. I mean, you've got a couple of the steals there, Jirachi, Bronzong, for example, but I guess like also Sand Slash, but that's got the steel typing to kind of make that more neutral, right? So I don't think water's as big a deal in terms of an actual attacking type here, because it seems to be so water dominant with a lot of, well, at least the bigger picks, by the looks of things. That's just my impression so far.
Yeah, I feel if you're going to run a water type like Lapras, it's going to have an ice move. So I think it's going to be very ice dominated rather than water dominated.
Yeah.
You don't really need the water here, because, well, look at your big threat is Swirless and Abomasnow. From what I'm looking at, like there's some big picks. Water's not effective. You're hindering yourself, so got to run the rocks.
This is it, and I mean, I guess the biggest water mons that have a water fast move here, it's typically either Water Gun, which is not fantastic, and then Waterfall, which is
useless.
I think useless in Great League at the very least. Master League, that's another thing, but that's just a limited meta, right? But I think it's more about having water as a defensive thing, and then after that, it's just don't run a water move unless you really have to, I guess. At least my initial impressions.
I mean, it's only going to be. Sorry, I was just going to say, it's only really like Empoleon that's going to be doing the water move. You can't really see Empoleon doing Metal Claw. There's not really other water types I can see would be like go to the water move compared to like the Celios and the Milotics they'll be doing, the Dragon Tails and the Powder Snow respectively in that sense. So,
I think if you're going to run a water type this month, if it's going to be Milotic, it's going to be Dragon Claw. If it's going to be for anything else, it's going to be Caracosta or Seismitoad, or either of mine or your picks, which are all rock water. Yeah,
and they're going to run the other move anyway, aren't they? So
they're not going to run water.
Yeah, and if there's anything in there, which there's loads of things dotting around that probably pick out something which might be weak to water, but like you're going to do probably enough neutral damage with the other moves that you're going to have kicking about to be able to not have to worry about it. Yeah, I think if you're running a water move, at least in the fast move sense, I think you're limiting yourself, and I think you should look elsewhere.
But the only ones I would see water would be good for would be the Bronzong, the Jirachi, and the Alone Sandslash. So I would say like having like Empoleon would be good for those ones specifically, since Empoleon would resist most of their moves anyway, and then just do the neutral damage with the fast moves. But with the other mons that will have the water fast move but have a different one, it's definitely more viable for them to use it, as you said, sort of thing, because of their charge moves will be more than enough to take them out anyway.
Completely. And yeah, I agree. I think the Empoleon's going to be the big one here. Like you say, having that water steel typing is basically going to function this month as a steel counter, really, isn't it? But I think why it's a great mon, but why I kind of like trying to edge away from it as much as I possibly can is that it does feel like, okay, this is going to counter the steel psychics or some of the other steels. It's like then we're kind of getting dangerously close to, I need this to be aligned, and then where do we get with alignment? We get towards RPS, right?
Yeah.
And I want to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, as you have mentioned it, because we are both running water rock types, we are extremely vulnerable to grass. What would you be thinking about running with?
So off the top of my head, I've liked the look of some of the steel types that we've got going here. So I think like a lot of the grass types don't like things like the Bronzong. Jirachi is the one with Doom Desire being nearly as busted as Meteor Mash. That thing is naughty. Yeah, I think just that being that the things that actually, again, it's another one which I think is going to really enjoy being paired with something which like shields being down, because again, Rock Blast you get to it pretty quick, and with the Shadow Boost is pretty hurts quite a bit. So eventually they'll start adding up. So things like that enjoy shields being down. So I guess stuff that have got big moves. Let's have a look. I guess in some regards, depending on what moves that you put it, you could do it with Mew, because that's got some big charge moves that you can get to pretty quickly with whatever you're running. It's also being a water heavy meta, maybe Mew with Volt Switch.
I can imagine a few Volt Switch Grass Knot Mews kicking around.
If that starts to be the case, I could see myself leaning towards Survivor.
I like Survivor, to be fair. I do really like
with the Poison Jab and Poison Fang and Crunch. I've used it a little bit.
Remember you running that in Hoenn Cup against me, and it was very annoying.
Oh yeah, I did.
I think it's like actually really good. So yeah, have another free one, Survivor. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff here which do have big moves, and even stuff actually which can, it's a shadow, so it's not going to be super bulky. So things that have a bit of bulk behind it as well. So I guess you've got things like you've got stuff like I guess Lugia being something which is quite bulky, which it might draw out some of the more common steals, which it might be actually, if you get a bit of chip damage, then actually you don't need to, because again, remember these sims, like things like the Jirachi sim, that's against like even energy, 0 energy, full health. But like if you bait a Jirachi out with your Lugia and you chip it away with Dragon Tail or something, then you come back in, because you never shield in Lugia. Just as an argument's sake, then you might have a bit of a better time there. Anything that's just really going to put the grasses off. I guess Beedrill is also another one. Particularly the shadow one's quite fun to start like poison jab damage, and then those fast X scissors or fell stingers or drill runs or whatever you want to run there. I think it's actually quite flexible in what you can put it with. Dean's had enough. He just says like, right, I'm gonna go build one right now.
He couldn't wait.
This could actually be a chatting shit first.
He's got to build Survivor.
It didn't like Omastar.
Not enough for this.
Yeah.
I think like I say, like I think most mons that have Mudshot and then some fast charge moves are great at building shield pressure. And so I like to look for things that have perhaps big moves that can take advantage of that. And you know, if they also have stuff that makes them bulky as well, that's also a fun thing. I'm going to avoid. I'm not actually going to say what I was about to say because that's just me being being a contrarian and saying like, oh, it's going to be a fucking crooked no bastard now. I guess I'm just having a quick look through. I guess actually rainy cast form's probably not that bad. Although again, having to avoid the grasses, so maybe even snowy cast form. That big blizzard was pretty huge with the with powder snow.
Snowy cast form is always one that sneaks under the radar. Like you always see it on the Sims. Always, is always up there. Never ever come against one. I think I've paired up against somebody. I can't remember. It might have been Darth Quill. And he ran all of them against me, all four in one match.
Yeah,
that's literally the only time I have ever seen a snowy cast form in all my battling years.
You've not played Mr. Cast much then?
No, I only battled him in a handful. I battled him the other month. I've literally only battled him once.
To be fair, I used snowy cast form in my regionals, and I landed a blizzard on a Jellicent to flip that in ones, and it won me regionals. So I have the biggest love in the world for snowy cast.
Yeah.
So
I actually have snowy cast form in my Belters team at the minute for Brawler.
Ooh.
Well, there we go.
That's a big one.
I also have Raichu there as well.
I was very fortunate the other day when we had one day where it was misty, and I actually found a snowy cast form which had good, decent IVs. So if I can actually finally run one, so I probably will look to play it next month for sure as well.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with all the cast forms. It's very spammy and it's really fun. It always gets a lot of hate because there's always fighters around, right? So it's just like, just going to counter this down. It's like, needs a better coverage move. Just having all ice is not the best, but
holds it back.
Yeah, I think if you're going to keep them fighters away, there's a lot of openness in this meta now. I mean, the two we've talked about might be prevalent. But I can't see it because they're both fairly glassy.
They're not going to be centralizing, are they? And I think that's the thing that I've really taken away from just this early look is what has made me realise is just how oppressive fighting types are.
Yeah.
Just generally speaking to, not just Silph metas, just the meta much more broadly of PvP. It's just insane just how much you have to think about fighters. Not least because counter is a busted move anyway, arguably the best fast move in the game. Just the big names that are in the fighting types is just mental.
I was actually shocked when I saw Poison first. I was like, Toxicroak, yes. And then I was like, Toxicroak's banned. No, he's my go-to. He literally is my go-to.
I don't think it'd have had much play anyway with Hypno being about.
You could always run a Toxicroak, always.
I think the thing is that if Toxicroak was in, a lot of people would want to run it, and that would have made Hypno much more popular. And we would have ended it with Commander again. To be honest, so I'm glad that they've gone that step and banned it.
Should have banned Hypno as well, but.
Well, it just means that our picks today are more prevalent.
That's it.
With the rocks and the darks and the steels as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to spit it out here now. Someone else who's doing a chatting shit at some point may have come up before this episode is pretty big on Hypno, and I'm going to put this on record that I think Hypno is a trap. I think it's I think people will try and build it in, and it's a great mon, but I think it's not going to do the things that you want it to do here. That's just my 2 cents.
So I think I've got an idea what you're talking about.
Not naming names, but you make it work. Make it work. So yeah, sorry, we kind of went off it. This is the great thing. There's been so many going down these spice roads has like brought up so many tangents, which I really enjoy going down. So, has anyone got any final thoughts, questions about Omastar or anything else that we've spoken about this evening?
Like I just want to reiterate. Personally, I think that Omastar would be better with that massive nuke of a hydro pump. I know Rock Slide does a lot, and it's a fantastic move. You probably even get away with just running Rock Slide and Hydro Pump when shields get low. There's a lot of shield pressure going to be in this cup. We've established that with mons that are just going to turn out massive damage. They're going to be quick matches. I'd personally... I'm going to look at my shadow shortly. And then, yeah, I reckon Hydro Pump might be better. Just for me personally, where I might be going. But yeah, we're going to be in for some quick matches this month.
I think that's probably one thing we can take away from all the picks is that there is a variety in that if you don't, for example, with Omastar, if you don't want to spend the Elite TM, then you can get by using the other version, and you just, again, all the pick, you just build around them to do the role that you want, right? Which I think is one of the things that I want people to be able to take away from, like, you know, Spice is a bit unusual, but it's a massively flexible thing to get involved in, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to spend an Elite TM, so.
That's it.
I think, like, for this meta especially, though, I think it's I think this is the perfect meta to do a lot of Spice, just because looking at like the custom built meta of this cup, there's so many ice in the top 20 in that sense. So it's not everyone's going to be running ice for every single of their picks, but we know it's going to be in their teams. At least 2 or 3 of their mons will be an ice form. So it's good to have like some variety and like go down the list and see what else is out there to counteract those in that sense, rather than, you know, just go for the top picks in that sense. So I think this will be the perfect cup to do that.
Absolutely, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I love a good type cup.
Yeah, get one last one out of the way before the nonsense starts in February, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it will. Right. I mean, I'm just looking at the time. We should probably wrap it up now. So it's been wonderful chatting to you, gentlemen. Thank you for bringing exactly what I was hoping you'd bring. It's been really enjoyable. Thank you for making my hosting job so much easier.
No problem. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that you all said yes. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've done. And to everyone on YouTube, Matt doesn't do this all that often, so I'm going to do it for him. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to see some more spicy content, not necessarily seeing us, you know, I know we're really, really handsome, but you might want to see other people. But if you want to see some more spicy content, leave a comment down below. Let him know that he should be doing more of this, because this is just fun. But anyway, you know, like, comment, subscribe, hit the YouTube link, share it amongst your friends, all that jazz, all the self-promotion rubbish.
Ask for the baldy guy.
Oh yeah, get the baldy guy. You know who you are. But no, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I hope everyone's learned something from this, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Thanks, Jan. Bye.
You.